So you see, this is the story of a girl who was shaped into a monster by the world. The themes of the creator's ignorance, the neglect of parental responsibility as seen through Victor and the surgeon/uncle, appearances and societal prejudice led to the isolation and alienation of both Victor's creature in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and the girl in this spin-off. Ultimately, these influences led the creature and the girl to spiral into monsters fueled by this consuming need to execute revenge, as they both realize that they can never truly enjoy happiness in their lives. I was benevolent and good. Misery made me a fiend, Victor's monster expresses on page 89. Let's take a further look at the parallels between the girl and the monster from Frankenstein by analyzing each video.
So one of the parallels that we saw in the story was when both creatures were casted off from their creators because their creators didn't know how to handle their creations. So on page 52, Victor thinks, "I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created. He held up the curtain of the bed, and his eyes, if eyes they may be called, were fixed on me. His jaws opened, and he muttered some inarticulate sounds, while a grin wrinkled his cheeks. He might have spoken, but I did not hear. One hand was stretched out, seemingly to detain me, but I escaped and rushed downstairs. I took refuge in the courtyard belonging to the house which I inhabited, where I remained during the rest of the night, walking up and down in the greatest agitation, listening attentively, catching and fearing each sound as if it were to announce the approach of the demoniacal corpse to which I had so miserably given life." So this quote talks about how Victor couldn't even look at the creature he created. He just rejected the creature even though it hadn't done anything to him. And this is similar to the story that we created as Uncle Ian, who's also the surgeon. His rejection of his own niece after the surgery he performed on her was very large, and it seems that he couldn't even handle how he messed up so badly, so the best way to combat his mistakes were to send her away and to never speak to her again. So later in the story and in the vlog, both creatures feel that they are not appreciated, and in the novel, the creature was treated very poorly after saving a little girl. And in the vlog, the creature helped an old woman, and the old woman ran away out of fear after she saw what the person that helped her looked like. So the creature in Frankenstein angrily thinks, "This was then the reward of my benevolence. I had saved a human being from destruction, and as a recompense I now writhed under the miserable pain of a wound which I shattered the flesh and bone. The feelings of kindness and gentleness which I had entertained but a few moments before gave place to a hellish rage and gnashing of teeth." And this was on page 125. And at this point, the creature in the book had just saved a little girl, as I mentioned earlier, and was treated horribly for doing such a noble thing as the little girl's dad tried to shoot the creature. And the creature felt completely defeated and angry at humans for being able to treat others so poorly, even though the creature had just done such a noble act. And in the video that we created, the girl had just helped an old woman after she had fallen, but when the woman saw what the girl looked like, she ran away. And this left the girl kind of confused and hurt after she had just also performed a selfless act, even though she was still in a lot of pain from the surgery that she had just recently gotten. And the creatures in both the novel and the video were very selfless and wanted to just help, and they were treated horribly for their selfless actions.
In video 3, we see that the girl has lost her job, meaning she has lost her livelihood. This is similar to the relationship between the DeLaceys and the monster. The monster is very dependent on the family because he has learned a lot of things from them. He learned about the compassion of humanity, which he had never experienced, and he learns English, where he can now feel connected to the people around him. He voluntarily tries to help the family by collecting wood to make their life easier. On page 100, it says, "I discovered also another means through which I was enabled to assist their labors. I found that the youth spent a great part of each day in collecting wood for the family fire, and during the night I often took his tools, the use of which I quickly discovered and brought home firing sufficient for the consumption of several days." With these acts and observing the family's kind natures, The monster feels hope that finally, maybe the DeLaceys could be the ones that accept him without judgment. With all this, the monster forms an attachment to the family, and when the monster tries to approach the father and is seen by the family, their reactions are not what he had hoped for. On page 120, it says, "Who can describe their horror and consternation on beholding me? Agatha fainted, and Safi, unable to attend to her friend, rushed out of the cottage. Felix darted forward and with supernatural force tore me from his father, to whose knees I clung. In a transport of fury, he dashed me to the ground and struck me violently with a stick." With the rejection, the monster loses the foundation of his life. He loses stability, he loses the relationship that he had with them. Similarly, in the video, the girl loses stability in her life as well, because without a job in modern society, her life will be full of much more hardship. And it is not only economically that she feels this loss, but it is socially as well, because her friend's side eyes are clearly visible in the video. Everything starts crumbling down for her, and it is like the monster when he loses the hope that he had when he was first brought to life, that he could live among humans.
Okay, so in video 4, where the girl gets rejected by her boyfriend, we came up with the girl's turning point into like a monster, so that it parallels with the creature's final rejection through like humanity shaping his transformation into a true monster. And so his last hope for companionship is ultimately shattered by Victor when he decides to destroy the female creature, which symbolizes the loss of any like potential chance for him to receive love or acceptance from someone of his own kind. And so Mary Shelley writes, "A mummy again, endued with animation, could not be so hideous as that wretch," page 52, which highlights the extreme like revulsion that the creature faces. And so similarly in our YouTube video, the girl experiences her final betrayal when Nate breaks up with her over her looks, which again reinforces society's cruel judgment of appearance. And this parallels with the moment when the DeLacy family rejects the creature despite all of his kind actions. And as Shelley describes, Agatha fainted and Safi, unable to attend to her friend, rushed out of the cottage, page 120. Just as the creature's abandonment leads to him to like fully embrace his monstrosity and go on a killing spree, the girl's breakup represents her breaking point, where she like internalizes that rejection and goes to kill the surgeon, as seen in video 5. And so both characters demonstrate how repeated social rejection can chip away at humanity and leave behind only pain and vengeance.
So in video 5, the girl's transformation into a monster is triggered by her boyfriend's breakup, and she's absolutely crushed because she was expecting to be proposed to, not broken up with. So this rejection, it's due to her appearance, is like the final blow in a series of losses and of rejections from the people that she cares about because of her appearance. And so she lost everybody, and this leads to her spiraling out of control. She has this boiling resentment inside of her towards her uncle / surgeon, catalyzing her transformation into a monster. So she goes after him, and she wants to kill him for all the misery that he's caused her. So similarly, in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the creature is completely devastated by his abandonment and the rejection he's experienced from both Victor and society and of humans in general. And so he too becomes a monster when he's overcome with this like fuming hostility as a result of Victor's final betrayal of him. So the monster says in the book, "Towards you I felt no sentiment but that of hatred. Unfeeling, heartless creator, you had endowed me with perceptions and passions, and then cast me abroad, an object for the scorn and horror of mankind. But on you only had I any claim for pity and redress, and from you I determined to seek that justice which I vainly attempted to gain from any other being that wore the human form." That's on page 124. So the monster here is expressing his utmost desire for vengeance upon Victor. So even though in the book he doesn't physically murder Victor, he inflicts emotional torment by killing everybody he loves and leaving him to suffer the rest of his life isolated from everybody. So at its root, he basically kills Victor's spirit and his motivation to live in the pursuit of revenge. So in the spin-off, the girl loses everything too, and she chokes her surgeon to death because she also wants justice. So, I gotta talk to you about something.
Okay.
Sorry. Die! Die!
You have to say, like, I hate you.